Start winning at the races with Daily Racing Form's new Mobile Pass performances, featuring exclusive buyer speed figures and expert analysis and selections. Go to drf.com/best and get the power of DRF in the palm of your hand. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 9 at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Oaks Friday is the Grade 2 Edgewood Stakes for 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the turf. Let's take a look at the field. The horse they're all going to have to beat is the number 3 Sharing, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf last year and acquitted herself just fine with an overseas sojourn to Royal Ascot last time out. Not easy to be Group 1 placed against those kind of horses.
Nah, she ran really well in that race. I guess you could worry about the trip overseas and back for this filly and maybe think that could get her beat, but it sort of feels like something's going to have to get her beat here, Dan. She's real good.
Now, with a trainer like Graham Motion, who is so adept with shippers all over the place, I'm really not worried about Sharing, even with the layoff. That's one of Motion's fortes as well. Let's take a look at the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this race. And we see the number 3 Sharing in a possible situation sitting off of a fast pace. That would obviously help her as well. I'm not sure the pace will be blazing. I do think it will be fair, and I do think this time the number 1 In Good Spirits is going to make the lead. I think last time out in the Regret, the Connections were a little concerned about the 1 1/8. They could have made the lead with her. They decided to rate. She sat in the pocket in a good trip, and she lacked the finish. Turning back, I think she's on ascend.
I agree with that, Dan. I didn't think the pace was necessarily going to be fast in here, but I wholeheartedly agree with your take on In Good Spirits. They definitely rated her last time with an intention to do that. I don't think they'll do it this time.
And she ran into a pretty good filly last time out, Harvey's Lil Goyle, returning to turf. She then returned to dirt and ran 3rd in the Alabama behind Kentucky Oaks-bound Swiss Skydiver. Harvey's Lil Goyle earned a 95 buyer in the Alabama. Hendy Woods is the number 2. She's won 3 of 4. Her only loss came in her only start at Churchill Downs. She drew a lousy post position that day in the Regret. Probably deserves a mulligan for that race. I thought she looked good in Indiana Grand last time out, Mike. She didn't break very well. They got her down to the inside to save some ground. She had to come very wide in the stretch, but once she straightened herself out, she was too much for Pranked.
Yeah, that was a good effort last time, I thought. Didn't break that sharply, had to come wide, and just made a nice sustained run to get up in that race. She was good in there, and her Regret, I don't know, Dan, I think post 13 really cost her there. She gave away a lot of position early. Just couldn't improve around the second turn where they kept her on the hedge. I thought that was a very underrated try, and her first 2 career starts were good. This really has a ton of upside. This is not an easy spot, but this really is good.
And if that pace heats up as Timeform US expect Hendy Woods to come with a strong late bid. Sharing the 3 is not only talented, professional, and she was obviously precocious last year, but she has wonderful tactical speed. She showed that in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, getting into a great spot despite breaking from post 11 in the Tepin 2 starts back. A very similar trip. She's very handy. And if she sits a nice trip off of the pace, she'll probably get first run on the closers, and she'll be tough to run down.
Yeah, she just looks tough in this race. She was a really good 2-year-old. I thought she came back off the layoff in the Tepin with a solid return there, a nice trip, but she was good winning that race. And she ran an excellent race in the Coronation Stakes last time, Dan. Considering the trip that she got and the horse that won that race, she was a really good second in that spot.
Lucky Betty, the number 4, has won 3 out of her last 4 races. The only loss during that span coming against Kentucky Oaks entrant She Dares the Devil. She liked it on the turf in her turf debut last time out. Let's watch that race for Lucky Betty. Showed good tactical speed. She's in the Black Silks 3 off the rail, and she's going to strike the front over His Glory right now and go on to a pretty comfortable score under Corey Lannery. I liked what I saw here. She is going to have to improve from a buyer standpoint, but there was not a lot of pace for her to run at in here.
Yeah, she ran well in there. You're right, the pace wasn't fast, but she did get a really good trip. They just put her right on the rail behind the leaders. It's not like she had a ton of ground to make up. I did like the way that she finished. And you know what? Just the fact that she ran that race first time on turf after showing some real potential on dirt, too. She was not a bad dirt horse. There's a lot to like about this horse, and she'll be a price in here.
Outburst began her North American career with 2 wins, and she was very versatile in both of those efforts. Off the pace run at Tampa Bay, gate to wire performance in the Florida Oaks. Now, last time out, she was no match for Hendy Woods. Do you blame the yielding turf?
Yeah, I mean, it's a, certainly a valid excuse that you could give her. She didn't run, a horrible race there. She was wider than everybody else around the turn. Had a look at it and just wasn't quite good enough, but she ran okay in there. I can't say that I love her last two races, Dan. Her first two starts were pretty good. If she's a good price, I can sort of understand anybody who wants to give her a chance to rebound here.
Now I can see why Timeform US has the 6 pranked up close to the pace. A few starts back, she showed good speed, she set legitimate fractions, but in her last 2 races, she has shown the willingness to sit and finish, and I think she's been more effective with that style. And because of that, I don't think Tom Amoss and James Graham are in any rush at all this time around. They'll be close, but they'll concede. She ran well in the Indiana Grand last time out, although she might have gotten a slightly better trip than the winner.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, she did run fine in there, but she really did get a really good trip. I thought Bridgman gave her a great ride in there, got through on the inside at the stretch, came clear, and then she did finish well in there, just couldn't hold off Hendy Woods. Ran well. I feel like she's going to have to run even better than that in this spot.
Maria Foote, the number 7, had a built-in excuse leading into the Appalachian at Keeneland last time out. It was her first race since February, her first start in this country. I do wonder if she was a bit exposed because she just failed to kick it in at the very end of that race. She can obviously move forward with that race under her girth.
Yeah, she can take a step forward here, and obviously she's going to have to do that. Didn't really do that much running in the Appalachian. And my other problem, Dan, is I just don't feel like I like that Appalachian as a race that much.
Speaking of the Appalachian, here it is, Walk in Marrakesh. This again continues a string of close but no cigar efforts for her. She's in the cheek pieces on the outside 3 wide, and it looks like she's got the momentum. And it looks like she's finally going to grind by these 2 horses on the lead. And she will, but somehow, some way, Enola Gay is going to come from left field and beat this horse. And after watching this race, and I've always been a little bit of a fan of Walk in Marrakesh, she's had a little bit of trouble in a few starts. Boy, this was a race where you say, does she want to beat you or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you almost have to look at her that way now. The first 2 times, her first 2 starts in this country where she lost very close photos, I was with you. I kind of wanted to, give her the excuses and maybe say she was a little bit of a hard luck horse. I think it's harder to say that now. I don't know how she didn't win that last race. It's not like Enola Gay came back when they ran her in New York and flattered that effort at all. I don't know. I'm going to try and stay away from these Appalachian horses, I think.
Maybe if I had to make an excuse, you could say the pace heated up the middle part. She made a move into the fastest part of the pace, and she was run down by the last run, which was the best run. We'll see what we get from Walk in Marrakesh. She's facing a good one in Sharing, and that's where we go as we take a look at our top selections in this race. We're going Sharing. You like Hendy Woods. You've always been a big fan, and I want Walk in Marrakesh where she wants to be thus far in second.
I guess if you're going to use her, that's where you're supposed to use her, Dan. I'm not going to try and beat the favorite in here, but I will use Hendy Woods with her.
Same super, different order. Mike's going 3-2-1-8. I'm going 3-8-1-2. It's the grade 2 Edgewood. It's race number 9 at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Oaks Friday, and it has an approximate post time of 3:40 Eastern. Best of luck.